people understand better when they have the opportunity to see, and not just in a book, not just in a PowerPoint. I think that seeing in many ways is believing. If at the school level, kids and young people will have the opportunity to experience things on the ground, it will be easier because then they will be closer to reality. I also have to say that social media is super important. And when you ask the younger generation how they want to learn, they all go to, WhatsApp and TikTok and many other social media that exists today. We have to understand also that technology plays a role and that innovation plays a role.
Welcome back to Wise on Air, the show where we talk to the world's leading minds on the future of education. My name is Bassem Hijazi, producer of the show. This episode was recorded live from the Earthna Summit 2025 in Doha, a global platform bringing together researchers, policymakers, and innovators around sustainability. The summit's theme, Building Our Legacy, Sustainability, Innovation, and Traditional Knowledge, created space for conversations that challenge how we think about learning and problem solving in the sustainability space. Today's rapidly evolving world often pushes us towards the newest technologies and approaches. But what if some of our most effective solutions have been here all along? Our guest today is Dr. Grethel Aguilar, Director General of the International Union for Conservation of Nature. With 30 years of experience working directly with Indigenous communities, she brings a perspective that asks whether we are overlooking crucial voices in how we educate about environmental challenges. In this episode, WISE Advocacy Director Shaheen Amane explores with Dr. Aguilar how traditional ecological knowledge might not just complement our climate education, but potentially transform it. Join us as we examine whether ancient practices might indeed be our most modern solutions.
Dr. Aguilar, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
May I ask you to briefly introduce yourself, please?
Sure. First, let me thank you for the invitation to talk to you and your audience. My name is Grethel Aguilar, and I am a Costa Rican citizen. I am a lawyer by profession. I study to defend people and protect people. That's why I decided to study law. But then through working with indigenous communities, I learned to love nature through the eyes of indigenous peoples. And then I started to work to protect nature for people and planet to thrive. So it has been a journey in my life. And I wake up every day very happy to do what I do.
Having you at the summits of Earthna is an honor. What did you come actually to say here to the audience that you met here?
Thank you for the question. First, I have to say that currently I am the Director General of the International Union for Conservation of Nature. And that organization is the biggest and the oldest international organization that works to conserve nature in a just and an equitable way. And we have, as part of the organization, we have state members and we have non-governmental organizations. And that is why it makes IUCN unique, because we have a Camera for Governments and a Camera for Civil Society. And only when the two cameras agree, we take decisions. So it's a very democratic organization and it's very unique at a time where, we are confronting many challenges in this planet. And I came here to Qatar and to Earthna Summit to talk about that, about the challenges we are confronting as humanity, the challenge of climate change, the challenge of biodiversity loss, but also challenges such as food security, water, clean air. And what can we do as humans to, let's say, change the tide and become a society where nature can thrive and continue to give the services that nature gives us today? So it has been very, very good for me to be here to hear others from the region, from the Gulf, and to share what we do at IUCN. And this is very important, particularly now, because we are hosting in October 2025 the IUCN World Conservation Congress. That is the biggest gathering of the conservation community worldwide. And this is going to happen also in this region, in Abu Dhabi. For the first time that IUCN celebrates its World Conservation Congress that happens every 4 years since 1948. And we are very happy to be here and to learn from the region, from its people, from the efforts that the region is doing in terms of conserving nature.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think the region can bring to the conversation, to the current conversation today? I'm talking about this region, the GCC countries, and the region you're coming from with the indigenous, I would say, culture and knowledge.
This region can bring a lot of things. Most importantly, I believe that the region has been innovating. You are now really advanced because you have been investing in innovation, in how to use, for example, artificial intelligence or other means of technologies to conserve nature. I think that we can all learn from that. Most importantly, you still have a lot of people who are at the front line of conservation. You have the fishermen, you have the women at the local communities. We know that, for example, Al-Hema, which is a traditional practice that the communities do here in the region, where people use the land, but that they change the places where they use the land from time to time to keep the land healthy, is something that is embedded in your culture, and that we can learn from these and many other practices that have been here in this region for ages, and that are not really well known. And I think that that traditional knowledge is very keen today. And the combination of what people have known for millennia together with the innovation, that combination is very unique, because at this point, we can talk hours and hours and hours about the problems. But I believe that what is important is to talk about the solutions to those problems. And while we can all see, that the planet is getting hotter and hotter, that water scarcity is an issue, that that our seas and the species that are in our seas are suffering, we can talk about hours about those challenges and more. But not many people talk about the solutions, and sometimes the solutions already exist. It's a matter of respecting the cultures. It's a matter of learning from the ones who are doing this, and it's a matter of doing this combination, respecting science, what we are doing today, the scientific knowledge we are generating, and respecting traditional knowledge, and bringing on board also innovation. And don't take me wrong, but I sometimes people believe that traditional knowledge is only the practices that come from generation to generation. But traditional knowledge is also about the new things that the communities are developing today. Adaptation, because the problems of today are new ones. So, and communities have to reinvent themselves. So every day, communities are using their own abilities to discover new ways of how to deal with the current problems. So I think that if we take a deep look and we respect those communities and we learn from there, then we can be all much better.
How did you see the way the people of Qatar are proud of their traditions? Because you have also this background, you're talking about indigenous culture and knowledge. Do you think in a way or another this is really important actually to evolve and adapt at the same time?
I'm very glad that you are saying that Qatar, is very proud of their traditions. And I am very, very happy to hear that, because a country that is not proud about their own traditions is a country that cannot look at the past and at the present. And hearing you saying that, I think that then Qatar is in a very good place, because although we're not going to say that everything that has done before, that people have done before, is perfect. We can take the good things and we can innovate today, and they can innovate together with us, the ones who are not on the ground. So I think that if we respect each other, it's much better for everybody, don't you think? I am a person in the organization that I work with, IUCN. In IUCN, we respect Indigenous people's knowledge. We will not do anything that will harm that knowledge. And every time we work with communities, we ask for permission to work with them. And of course, we first ask how they do it and what can we learn. So to know what can we bring when we do projects with communities.
I have a question related to indigenous traditions. How can we embed indigenous epistemologies in education without reducing them to case studies?
Yes, it's a very good question. And although case studies are important because that's a way of learning, I think that people understand better when they have the opportunity to see. No, and not just in a book, not just in a PowerPoint. I think that seeing in many ways is believing. So I think that if at the school level kids and young people will have the opportunity to experience things on the ground, it will be easier, because then they will be closer to reality, and it seems like something that you can touch and feel. No, although today I also have to say that social media is super important. And when you ask the younger generation how they want to learn, they all go to WhatsApp and TikTok and many other social media that exist today. So we, the people who are not so young like me, we have to understand also that technology plays a role and that innovation plays a role. Recently, I was attending a conference and I was really taken by the conference was not about hearing people talking. The conference was about totally the use of technology. You touch screens, you see images, you interact with the people while you walk in. Many new ways of doing things, I think, that will engage the new generation. The other thing about education is that I am convinced that we cannot only give bad news. We have to be realistic. The planet is in trouble, and we humans put the planet in trouble, and we humans are the ones who can fix it. But we have to be more positive and give the tools, at least the hope that things can change. Because if we only talk about the bad things, people quickly disengage.
Anxiety
creates anxiety, people disengage. It's difficult to see a future. And when you are 15, you want to see a future. It's not fair for them only to hear the bads. It needs to come with a package. Yes, this is a reality, but guess what? We have this incredible opportunity to fix things, and you can be one of the players of this. Of this, you can be a key player. If your audience is hearing me and you have many young people hearing this, listen, you can be a key player, you can be a game changer. And this is amazing to have the opportunity to be a game changer. And this is the moment where we are, where we need all those young people believing that they can be part of the change.
Speaking about change and education, what would a biocultural curriculum look like in a mainstream school?
It's very interesting, your question. I truly believe that in any type of education, we don't have to be just biocultural. We have to diversify in general about what we know and how we perceive others, our beliefs, our respect for the differences. Because overall, no matter from where we're coming, no matter what language you speak, we're humans. That's what unites us, no? My language certainly is not English. I speak Spanish. I see people from all over the world talking so many languages. And not because they speak different language or have different beliefs or different ways of living, they're not humans. We're all humans, and we are in this together. We are in this together. We cannot think about separate boxes. So for me, the education system needs to focus on a multicultural approach, an approach that cherishes your own traditions, your own country traditions, and the things that are unique from your country, but also show the world, the entire world, and what is out there, and how can we learn from each other and be united as one planet and one single humanity. Perhaps, people might think that this is unrealistic, but I want to believe that it is possible. And I know, I'm convinced, because I have met with young people many times in my life, in my adult life, that many of them believe in this. And I don't want to say that, oh yes, the young generation are the leaders of the future. No, they can be the leaders now. By doing these practices, by respecting each other, by learning from every way they can from different visions, while respecting their own traditions and the roots from that they are coming from.
Is that actually under the umbrella of decolonizing the education?
I mean, I believe that every system in every country will not be equal, because we are all different. And one thing that scares people is to say that we have differences. We do have differences. And I think that we have to value those differences. As long, differences like you and me, we're speaking in one language that is not our own language. Perhaps it's because we want to communicate, but I believe your language is Arabic, my language is Spanish. We meet in the middle with a language that is not our language. So, but we try, we try to find a way to communicate. But I believe that it's so important to respect your own culture, no matter what that culture is, to embrace it, to respect your elders, to learn, and then to open your eyes to what the world is doing, what others are doing. But when your roots are strong, you can appreciate the differences. And it is important. I have had the luxury in my personal life to come from a family that is a very strong family. But because of my work and the things that I have done, I have experienced many different cultures, living in different countries. But I always have with me my roots, what my mother taught, what my grandmother told me, what my father told me. That doesn't mean that I'm losing my traditions, just that I am open to share with others and hopefully others are open to share with me, and to find a middle where we can all meet and work together. IUCN is the international international union for conservation of nature. So when we say international, it means that we have 1,400 members from all over the world. Wow. And 18,000 experts from all over the world. I'm the Director General. So if it's someone that can talk about working internationally, perhaps at this point is me, that I deal with people from all over the world, and every person is fascinating. And having the luxury of, listening to all these experiences and people, it is not just fascinating, but it also helps a lot to advance the mission of a just world that values and conserve nature. And this is the only way, and that's why our organization IUCN is so important, because it has that uniqueness that invites government, civil society, people from all over the world, and in our convening power makes possible for people to debate, to share ideas with a common purpose.
Which is?
A just world that values and conserve nature.
You're talking about 19,000 experts, that's right? Does it mean that all those experts are graduated? Or when you talk about experts, you can talk also about people coming from different background, but just only the traditions. And can they actually teach each other equally?
Well, we have in our membership, we have Indigenous peoples organizations in our membership. And it's something that IUCN decided not so long ago. It was in 2016. And as I checked with you, IUCN is an organization of 77 years. So it was only in 2016 when the organization decided to open a new category of members for Indigenous peoples organizations. I was really, really happy at that moment. And since then, we have in a stronger way, because even before we were working with Indigenous peoples, but to make Indigenous peoples organizations part of our membership officially has changed the organization. And it has changed forever, because now I put you a very clear example. The vice president of IUCN is an Indigenous person from Guatemala.
Incredible. Awesome.
Yes. I'm happy that in my lifetime I got to see IUCN with an Indigenous people vice
awesome.
president. And it is amazing. I also got to see a president, Razan al-Mubarak, from this region, president of IUCN. So it is really amazing. And by having a vice president that is Indigenous himself, of course, the voice of Indigenous peoples are strong, and we are obliged to combine traditional knowledge with scientific knowledge.
Just regarding this, why has Indigenous knowledge often been overlooked in mainstream climate education?
I don't know if I have an answer for that, but I believe that people know very little about traditional knowledge. And it's not that people are not using it, because traditional knowledge is not something static, no? Communities are using it. It can be adjusted with time. So it is there, but perhaps at the community level it's easier, but worldwide we have overlooked traditional knowledge as one of the main tools to address climate change challenges. More and more Indigenous peoples at the international level, they are organized more than ever before, and they have been very vocal. For example, at the Biodiversity Convention or the Climate Change Convention, they have been very vocal in the fact that in the discussions that are happening worldwide, The voices of indigenous peoples need to be heard. And I was very happy recently in the last climate change conference of the parties that happened in Cali, Colombia, where many of the things that they were asking for, including a permanent subsidiary body for indigenous peoples of the convention, was approved. And I think that they are gaining spaces in the climate change debate more than before, and that we should support that, because it's not just in the benefit, it's in everybody's benefit that there are one strong voice around the table.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to see progress. Still, there is a lot to do. I mean, I celebrate the progress, but we need to continue. We need to continue pushing for traditional knowledge and indigenous peoples to be part of the conversation. I mean, the knowledge that indigenous peoples bring is incredible, is as important and as useful as any scientific knowledge that we are producing. So it will be, a nonsense not to have them around the table.
And you feel that they are equal when they speak to scientifics?
There are many difficulties. One of the difficulties is sometimes the language. It's not easy. Normally, the indigenous peoples feel more comfortable like any of us. I feel more comfortable in my language. Of course, they feel more comfortable in the language, and in many occasions, that's the only language they speak. And it is hard for them sometimes to express in settings where there is just one language, or in settings where people are a little bit impatient to keep the conversation going and the time frames. So I believe that perhaps in the future we need to have the right spaces to have this conversation, respecting that not everybody around the table communicate in the same level and in the same format. And not because people communicate differently, they're less intelligent than others. It's just that there are different forms. Here in the Arab world, you have if I'm not mistaken, Majilis, and then you take time, you check with each other, but you take time. And normally these meetings are like, you have 2 hours to speak. You have to speak in a foreign language normally, and then the rhythm is different. So I think that perhaps we need some adjustments to really make it happen, where we respect different cultures from different sides, and not just one main culture that that we have done for ages the same thing, that the same ways of communicating. Perhaps we need to do it differently.
Yeah. Do you think it could be feasible one day to have in the Human Sciences University a faculty of indigenous knowledge?
I will hope so. I think that
and people
yes,
graduating from this faculty, having, as you said, the mix between the scientific current knowledge and the knowledge that is linked to the nature. Sometimes we feel that
it's a wonderful idea.
Thank you.
I think that it is possible, that it is very possible. It will take the willingness, the political savviness, but possible. It is possible, and it is a wonderful idea. But perhaps the type of education is not the one we know today. Perhaps there will be more necessity to go to the field. Perhaps there will be different types of conversations. Perhaps the exams that we know today will need to be adjusted in a different manner. Perhaps the teachers will have a variety of ways of teaching, and we will be learning differently. But we have to be innovative, and we have to be open to ideas. You know, I really like the example that Mohammed Yunus gave this morning. I don't know if you were in the room in the opening of the Earthna Summit. He was saying that we need to decide if we want to be like a beautiful bonsai, you know, that the bonsais that are in these really nice places, they are small, they're beautiful, but if the same seed is planted in the forest, you can become a huge tree. And yeah, it's equally beautiful. It's just that it's bigger and different. So it's like we are this bonsai now, and perhaps we have the opportunity to become a huge tree. And the bonsais can be there because they're beautiful and nice, but perhaps we need to put the seeds in different places. And I think that if we are willing and if we are brave, we need to dare to do things differently.
Speaking about that, Dr. Aguilar, you spent decades in policy. How do political systems need to shift?
That's a big question. I believe that one of the changes, perhaps, that we need to do in the political system is to put nature at the center of a country's planning, and not to put nature on a side. You know, conservation of nature is not just for the environmentalist. It should not be like that. Conservation of nature should be part of the national planning. Should be important for national accounting systems. Should be important for food security. Should be important for management of water resources. Should be important for infrastructure. Should be important for health. Should be important for agriculture, for the fisherman industry. Should be important for health. I mean, just think about anything that we do in this planet, where nature is and how much we depend on nature. But normally nature is put in a department, in a ministry, and it's hard. Even we have very good environment ministers around the world, but it's hard for them to place nature at the center of the political decision making. And I think that perhaps that's one of the things that need to happen urgently, because if we were doing that, then the decision making process perhaps will be different. And because then you take into account many things. For example, nowadays we take nature for granted. There is no value in nature, you know. So we don't put value to clean air. We don't put value to the soil. We don't put value to water many times. We don't put value to many of the services we receive. And because it does not have monetary value, then it's not part of the economic equation. And unfortunately, with the situation we're living today, perhaps we have to think for how long we can take nature for granted. I mean, can we continue this path? Probably not. We are seeing it. So that's, for me, one of the main changes that need to happen, a sectorial approach. Also, we need to involve much better local communities and indigenous peoples. We have to bring around the table, as we discussed, different knowledges, because together we're much better. That will be the intelligent thing to do. And we have to talk about subsidies. What are the good subsidies? What are not the good subsidies that in many countries are in place and worldwide? I mean, there's so many things that we can do. And you know, the beauty of this is that all of this is possible. I'm not talking about something that is impossible. I'm talking about things that are possible. and countries are really, some countries are really doing it. I was glad to see here in Qatar that 29% of Qatar land and sea is protected, and that they're doing efforts for that 29% to really be protected in a good way with the right measures. That was good to see. Also to see the conservation of mangroves, where the 40% of the coastline is being protected because, as you know, carbon can be absorbed by mangroves, but also, you know, the effects of climate change can be communities can adapt with mangrove conservation. I mean, there are many things that are happening that are good. The minister also this morning mentioned the framework for climate change that the country is about to launch. So progress is coming, progress is there. It seems like we need to support the things that are happening in countries like Qatar and other countries around the world, because again, for the teachers and for the younger generation, you have to have hope.
Yeah.
And you have to have hope, you have to inspire hope, and you are, you know, perhaps the ones called to make this change happen, because you can multiply this effort by many. If all the schools and high schools of this planet were teaching the right way, we're giving the right messages, if we can inspire if we just take time to inspire this new generation, they will be the ones making the change, and many of them are doing it right now. So I have a lot of hope, because I see the energy. I see that they come with a new way of thinking. I myself have 3 sons, and they come with a very delicate, incredible new chip that brings me hope.
That's awesome, Dr. Aguilar. I thank you very much for this note of hope. And I really wish you the best, and that maybe one day we will be able to talk about the climate, about the future in a bright way, and make sure that everyone is included in the conversation.
Thank you very
Thank
much
you
for
very
the
much,
opportunity.